Welcome. Coming to you guys today with a straight banger tip, a must-have for Starfield and really any Bethesda game in general. And the topic of today's discussion is storage capacity. Because if you're like me, in Bethesda games, you pick up everything. And before you know it, those clipboards, those pencils, those digiframes, those Alexas and Google Homes are going to fill up your ship and you're not going to have anywhere to put your stuff. So today we're going to cover the first upgrade that you need to make to your ship in Starfield to set yourself up for success. Number one, don't buy a ship. They cost way too much money. You can modify for a fraction of the cost and really stretch that dollar to maximize your return on investment. And this is how we got to the bus here. Don't be intimidated by all the different colors. Typical Bethesda fashion, the building is a little janky, but it's really worth going through. Making only a couple minor adjustments, I was able to 10x my cargo capacity from my starter ship, and this is something that you can do right after the beginning of the game, and I'm going to show you how. But before we get into that, let's do a quick component overview. We have dual laser cannons. I've learned that it's better to have higher damage than fire rate. So when you look at my ballistics damage output, I went with cannon there also. The 2-to-1 laser to ballistics ratio seems to work pretty well for me. This is a standard missile launcher, no changes. I've had a hard time finding one better than what you start with. The engines are a must just because you get a little heavier with some of the changes I applied here, and you need to be able to push that additional mass. Shield generator, easy upgrade, just buy the best one available to you, which is a pretty substantial defense buff. The grav drive, similar to the shield generator, another component upgrade. You just want to get the one with the highest jump thrust, right? And this will allow you to jump the furthest in between systems. All the components listed here are for Class A ship size, as the purpose of this video is to create an early game ship that can take you into the mid and late games, and introduce you to ship customization options. Reviewing the structural changes, you want to replace the center of your ship with a battle station to maximize your crew station capacity. Next, anything to expand your passenger slots. I went with the all-in-one berth, which has a good interior aesthetic. Moving on to the landing gear, similar to the thrusters, when you increase mass, you also need to increase your landing gear capacity. And that's what these two are. Not only do they look good, but they can carry more weight than the standard ones. The aft and port caps are structure pieces and only serve cosmetic purposes, similar to the porthole covers that you can equip on the top and the sides. But those bring in natural lighting, and if you know me, drip is of critical importance when it comes to customization. Taking a look under the hood, and again, you'll notice I'm using a lot of the same parts. It's mostly just replacing or upgrading the ones that I need to. Like these fuel tanks, for example, right? So we upgraded the grav drive, and now we want to have the fuel to be able to jump to where we need to. And having two of these has just made such a substantial difference, and we'll review the numbers here in a little bit. Now moving on to the coup de grace, the bee's knees. Why we're all here, the cargo increase. 4 of these bad boys will have you bursting at the seams, and they're very compact. They fit underneath the base of your ship, which is fantastic, and I just can't say enough good about them. You'll see here that the one I'm showcasing requires starship design, but they have some that don't require starship design, and it's only marginally worse. I'm talking maybe 20-40 pounds. So you definitely want to make sure you go to Teo, because in my experience for early game, that's just the best cargo loads that you can add onto your ship for cheap. Now let's take a look at the numbers side by side. So to the left, I've added in the starter ship's base stats. I'm not going to go into each of these one by one, so pause if you need to, but this is substantial growth at only a fraction of the cost that it would have been to buy a ship of equal measure. Alright, let's do a quick combat test. So I mentioned this earlier in the numbers discussion, but my ballistics damage is still much higher than my energy damage. Even with that 2-to-1 ratio, right? It's about 50% higher. So what I like about the cannons here is that they recharge instantly so that you can continuously apply pressure. And it's just easiest to manage for me personally and quite effective. Great, so you're sold. Where do I go? Well, you're gonna wanna head over to the Volley system, and you're gonna wanna go to Volley Alpha and then click over to Neon City. When you spawn in, you're gonna wanna take a right and head over to Ryujin Industries headquarters. Skipping all formalities, you're gonna beeline it straight to the back of the elevator and make your way down to Taiyo Astroneering. Here, Veronica Young will be able to take care of you and get you what you need.
Satisfaction is guaranteed.
The main thing you're looking for here, though, is cargo. And here are the different options that you can get. You can see how big those older Stormax models are in comparison, so the space occupied versus cargo ratio really make these almost 4 times as good. If you made it this far, thank you. Please consider subscribing for additional content.
Don't hurt them. You crazy? Ah, son of a...
Someone! This is hopeless! I'm out!
No, I'm not gonna be part of this.